Greetings, horror, sci-fi, and trick-or-treaters. Drew here from Horror, Sci-fi and Beyond, and we're just about one more week away from Halloween. Man, this year went by fast. Like we're already at the end of the year. It's pretty
hmm
crazy. And
We're at the best time of the year.
yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
So we're doing something a little bit weird today on this ramble on. We're combining a ramble on and then a review for my October horror movie review series. Um, just to get everything I want to talk about just in one video. I don't have to edit anything. So on today's agenda, me and Jackson will be talking about our Ace Ace in 32 experience. Otherwise known as Halloween Horror Nights. We will also be talking about the movie Trick or Treat from Mike Doherty. As well, we will be doing a horror movie Mount Rushmore, and I'll explain more to you guys what that's going to be all about when we get there. So before we get into any of that, I just want to I guess gotta ask you guys one thing just real quick. Did any of you see on Netflix The Fall of the House of Usher this weekend?
I have not watched it yet.
It's really good. The new Again series.
For good things.
Yeah, it's really good. It's not my top very most like Flanagan, but it's in my top 5 for sure.
Flanagan's hit or miss for me sometimes.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
I think everything he puts out is a fucking directing wise, because I didn't really like Midnight Club that much, but directing wise, everything he puts out is a freaking banger. Now, not saying a masterpiece, but really good, like at least a 7.
I was kind of out on him for a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you could keep going. I'm hit or miss on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of out on him for a little bit because I tried watching Haunting of Hill House and I just was not into it.
Yep.
And he just kept doing like all these shows. I finally watched Midnight Mass and it was really good.
Yeah.
And then for my 31 Days of Horror this year, I decided to watch Gerald's Game, and that is excellent.
Yeah, that's in my top 3.
Gerald's Game is great. And I also watched Dr. Sleep recently for the first time. And I liked it. It's a little too long, but I liked it.
Well, you sign on, Jackson. But yeah, just real quick, I want to give my top 5 Flanagan, and then I'll just give you my brief thoughts about House of Usher. So going from my favorite to least favorite, or going from 1 to 5. Number 1, Midnight Mass. It's an absolute masterpiece, and it deals with religion, so I like that with horror. Number 2 would have to be Doctor Sleep. I just really relate to it. Number 3, Gerald's Game, because I saw that was one of the first things I saw of his, and I was just blown away by how he portrayed a certain aspect of that was from the book. 4, Haunting of Hill House. I would like it a little bit more, but the ending didn't do it for me. And then 5, The Fall of House of Usher. I need to watch it one more time, or a few more times to really get it. But basically what this show is about, the story, because it's based off of Edgar Allan Poe, and it's about the Usher family, and they're a pretty seedy family. They did some bad stuff. And this is, I'm assuming, in the short story and in the Vincent Price original, which I just watched recently. What this one is about, basically the character Roderick Usher, Vincent Price character, played by Bruce Greenwood here, is a CEO of a pharmaceutical company. And basically his drugs killed thousands upon thousands of people. And his family members keep dying, or his children keep dying one by one in each episode, and each one is based on an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you got the black.
So he's just like, I'm just gonna adapt Edgar Allan Poe. We're gonna do it all.
Yeah, the one of them
go.
is Black Cat. You got the which was my favorite episode. I thought that was really strangely kind of funny in a way. Like it's fucked up what happens, but it's pretty funny.
Okay.
You got Pin and Pendulum, which I thought was the most creative one. Telltale.
I mean, that's a great, that's a great premise for a death.
Yeah. Telltale Hearts, which I thought was the most jacked up one.
Okay.
What else? You had Goldbug, which I never heard of, so I didn't really understand.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
I don't know that one either.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that Flanagan and threw that in there. That was kind of interesting.
Cool.
Mars was pretty interesting, and then Masquerade of the Red Death was real fucked up.
Okay.
But I would say by the third, I think by like the Black Cat episode, I'm like, okay, I'm loving this show. I kind of liked it before.
Now you've made me want to watch it because that sounds. I didn't realize he was going to do all that.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea.
If it was just like The Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, if it was just The Haunting of Hill House, it would have been, or like not Haunting of Hill House, Fall of House Usher. It may have just gotten like old after a minute. Like if it was just that story for like 10 episodes, but this is far more interesting sounding.
Yeah, it really does seem like these characters are in a really weird Alice in Wonderland kind of trippy version, not trippy, but kind of weird version of like world of Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
Like an Edgar
that sounds cool.
verse kind of thing. Like Stephen King has his Dark Tower, or his universe where everything's connected to the Dark Tower. Like this, it very much felt like that. And can I say one thing? Why hasn't Carla Gugino been nominated for an Oscar or an Emmy or anything big?
Because she's always in like stuff that wouldn't ever get nominated.
Yeah, well, she's fucking amazing.
Like she doesn't make prestige. She makes genre movies, and the Oscars don't recognize those, even when they're great.
She's amazing to sell, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to see anything else. I might spoil it a little bit.
I've always loved her. She's fantastic.
Same. Yeah, she's the best part of Haunting of Hill House, in my opinion. The show's hit or miss in some ways. Some of the acting's up and down, but she's always top notch.
Yeah, and we'll see the best part of the show. House of Usher.
Okay.
She's like insanely attractive. Like she's like a complete smoke show in my opinion. Like she's absolutely gorgeous.
She is. She absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in Sin City.
God.
I thought you were going to say Spy Kids, and I was going to say
Spy Kid.
If you've seen Sin City, you know what I'm talking about.
What, the headless thing where she gets her head cut off?
No, I'm talking about because
she gets her head cut off in the city, and she gets her hand cut off.
Yeah, well,
I know. Get her hands. She does get her hands cut off.
I'm just saying that there's some
really, really disturbing scene.
I'm just saying that there's there's a little bit of nudity in that movie.
Must have watched a different movie. I watched mine on like TNT. I must have missed all that.
Okay.
But anyways, guys, definitely check out that show. It's pretty amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. Just the one thing is, and this would probably be better on a rewatch. It was kind of hard to keep track of because there was a lot of backstabbing, and this show was hard to keep track of all of that stuff.
Yeah. Someone told me it was like horror Succession, which is the TV show Succession, it's a great show, but it is also very.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I just watched the whole series recently, and I just binged it. So it was a little easier to keep track of it that way because you're just seeing it all. But it is a lot.
But anyways, you ready to get down to Halloween Horror Nights?
Sure.
2023? I'll let you go. What was, not in general, but like the night that we went, what was your favorite moment, would you say?
Favorite moment? We had the best run through the Yeti house.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Like it was just timed perfectly. All the Yetis jumped out at us. It was just an absolute, because that's the thing about going through these houses. Sometimes you'll get a run where, you know, everybody's jumping out at the people in front of you or behind you and not out at you. So it just depends. And so you got to run through some houses like multiple times to maybe get a good run. We did not have a great run through the Stranger Things house, but that wasn't.
The fact that it was Stranger Things, it was cool.
Yeah, it's still a good house, but I wish you had gotten to see it like in its full glory, because it was missing some of the actors.
Yeah, I wanted Eddie and Dustin.
Yeah, Eddie was not in the house. There's a scene with 11 where 11 wasn't there. Vecna was there, but 11 wasn't there.
Oh,
it didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
that's kind of my favorite moment of the whole of both nights. Is when we got to the end of the Stranger Things house. And normally, right before you exit the house, they'll have a scare actor to get you right before you leave. Now, there's a person dressed up as the Demogorgon right in front of the exit. And as soon as I got, like, the two jumped in front of, like, right, directly at me, I jumped, like, 3 feet to the right. It was so funny.
Yeah, I'm happy to report that Drew is kind of a fraidy cat when it comes to haunted houses.
I was fine with everything else. It's just that.
I know, but they were getting you good. Oh, and the what scare zone was it? Was it the vampire one where they were just after you every time we walked through the vampire scare zone? They made a bead straight for Drew.
Well,
they were like fresh blood. They saw it. They saw it in the water.
Yeah, that was like a 1960s like Woodstock scene. So all the vampires were dressed in like normal clothes. So it was hard to tell.
Yeah, you can't always tell who they are, who the scare actors are, because they look normal from a distance, and then when they get up close to you, it's like, oh no, this person's a vampire.
Yeah, they didn't get me too bad.
Which is how real vampires are.
Yeah, they didn't get me too bad the second night. Like I literally got one of their faces when they got me. I'm like, ha. You know what I mean?
I think my favorite moment was we were walking through the vampire scare zone, and this tiny girl comes up to me dressed as a vampire, and she's like, "You having a good time?" And I was like, "I am." She's like, "Well, you look yummy. Can I have a bite?" That made my night.
Yeah, she was planning on doing I'm there.
And then I didn't see her. The rest of the night, every time we walked through the zone, I was looking for her, and I never saw her again.
Yeah, yeah. You can have gotten her number. You could have traded blood together. Dude, I would love to be a vampire. That'd be sick, dude.
You ever get to go out during the day though? Be so hard.
Well, depending on what kind of vampire you are. Because some of them
like a daywalker, like a blade, like a.
That'd be cool, man. No, the one in True Blood can go out in the day, if I remember. Because I only watched like part of the first season.
I never watched any True Blood. I don't know.
I saw the first 2 seasons, and I remember almost nothing about it.
Yep.
Yeah. The Universal Monster House was the first one we went to, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that one had Phantom of the Opera, and he was like. And this is not like classic Phantom. This is like slasher movie Phantom, when you like cut off of women and use it as his mask. It was pretty gross.
Yeah. But that one also, we didn't have the best run through that, because there's a scene at the end of the house where the hunchback, like the person dressed as a hunchback, is on these bungee cords, and they're up above you, and they're sort of jumping down over you. And he wasn't there when we went through it.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer.
Very disappointed. Yeah.
I've seen video of it, and it's pretty cool. But
it's really cool when you get to see it. But
yeah, I thought the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, it's a great house. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite room was the Invisible Man. That was so cool.
It's really creepy, because you go in there and it's dark and it's all like black lit and everything. So his mask, the bandages on his head sort of are glowing.
Well, no. First, like an actor dressed up as pops up and scare you, and then you go in a whole room. There's like all kinds. They're like and there's like it like lights up. He's just acting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, there, like his hand comes out. Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he reaches down from above you.
Yeah.
Which also happens in the Yeti house. The Yeti reaches down from the ceiling to get you.
Darkest Deal was a lot of fun too. I like that one.
That's my second favorite of all the houses.
Yeah, that's my number one favorite because I just love blues music. And that one's basically the classic, you're selling your soul to the devil to be an awesome blues musician. And when you first start out, there's like this guy dressed up as like the devil kind of thing, in like a suit and like a top hat. And you basically, our character just basically just signs his soul away. And then like he gets like the like demons popping out and scaring you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then you end up in hell.
Yes, at the very end. It takes you to hell.
As you should. As you should.
I thought the scariest one for me was Blood Moon. That deals with the cult. And that one's really scary.
That's my favorite overall this year.
I don't like cults. Cults scare me. And there's this part when you're in the church, and there's a whole bunch of them just sitting in the chairs. And in room. I'm like, oh my god, something's gonna pop out and scare me.
Yeah, you go into this room and it's a chapel and there's pews. You have to walk down the center aisle, and there's like a whole bunch of monks in white robes like sitting in the pews, and most of them are mannequins, but some of them aren't, and you don't know which ones are which because all their heads are covered.
Yeah. Did they switch them out about who's mannequin and who's the actor?
What?
Did they switch them out? Like, did they switch them around? Or change them around?
I don't think so, because I think every time I've gone through it 3 or 4 times now, and I feel like I know where the real people are.
Okay,
just from having gone through it several times. But yeah,
I would change them around just to mess with people.
Well, when would they do it though? Because there's always people walking through.
No, during the day before the event every night.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, but basically when the actors like getting their makeup and clothes. And like costumes on, like that'd be cool. What else? The Drawing Dragon was surprisingly more jumpy than I thought it was gonna be, and that was like based off the roller coaster. We had depending like what dragon you pick, the fire or ice dragon, it's like a race kind of thing, and it's basically the same concept here. It was cool, but it wasn't very Halloween-y.
No, it's more of a fantasy thing. I think the house looks really cool, but it's not scary.
Yeah, it was more. Like I said, it was more jumpy than I expected. And there were just we had to like go through like this little like tight hallway area, and there's like a demon character, like a fire one and an ice one on either side, and they got the group in front of us, and I'm like, okay, there's usually like a break sometimes between like the groups. And they're not going to get me. No, they got me. Totally got me. And then the Chucky one was pretty neat. I like that one.
Chucky one's fun. Like, it's silly. It's not scary. I like the second. So that house is like 2 halves because the concept is really weird. Basically, the idea is Universal built a Chucky house for HHN. But then Chucky was disappointed in it because nobody was actually getting killed. And so the second half of the house is like Chucky's version of the house where people are getting killed in much more gruesome ways.
Right. Well, yeah, that threw me off because we got into that little hallway area until they exit.
Yeah, you think it's over, and then it's like, oh no, there's a whole other section.
Yeah, and the guy popped up and like got the guy dressed up as Chucky popped up and scaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That house last year where that's located, that last year was the Blumhouse double feature of Freaky and the Black Phone.
Okay.
So you walk through the first half and then there's a little break in between and then takes you into the next half. So it's a cool idea.
Yeah, that one was fun. The jungle.
I love the Chucky puppets. The Chucky puppets like popping out of the wall on either side of you. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, that one where it's like it was like all the boxes of good guy dolls.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was freaking me out. Yeah. Well, we did that one in Dueling Dragons our second night, and by the time we got done with Chuckman, I was like, I think I'm done for the day. Yeah, so I think next year if you do it, we're gonna do the passes to get through them quicker, and then we can do them more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you go and you have to like wait in line, it could get like probably exhausting.
Yeah.
House after
the
house.
night we went, we didn't wait in line too long for most things. The longest line was for Stranger Things. We waited about a little over an hour, almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it was cool because it was just
to get into that.
But my dad waited.
Yeah, his dad was just like, I'm not doing this. And he went and sat on a park bench for an hour and a half.
Is the only thing, or only like nerdy thing, or one of the few nerdy things that my dad likes. Like he's not.
And yet that was the one he didn't go in.
He was just like, nah, too much. Can't stay for an hour.
He was tired. He was tired. He just wanted to sit down.
Yeah. Well, I think he was. I think he was trying to flirt with that one vampire chick. I think he was trying to. I think he was trying to swap some blood.
Oh man,
gets a lot of diseases that way.
Yeah, I know. I took health class in high school. I know what the STD is.
Yeah, and then we didn't go to the show.
Yeah,
the show's really cool. You should go on YouTube and look it up. It's called Nightmare Fuel Revenge Dream.
Oh, I forgot you were talking to Eric. I forgot there's another person in this call.
Both of y'all. I mean, to watch the show. Yeah, just go on YouTube and look up Nightmare Fuel Revenge Dream. And it's a good show.
Fuel Revenge.
Okay. All right. Did you want to? Did you do anything else you want to say, Jackson?
No, I mean, I've been to HHN a lot this year.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't really have any other thoughts at the moment.
It's amazing. Like I wish you were there, Eric. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my mom might be interested in going too.
It's cool. I've never been. I love haunted houses. It sounds like a perfect match.
Yeah, I just had to see what houses they're gonna have next year. Is it gonna be worth the trip? Or not, but
I mean, the thing is like I've been 3 years now, and the houses are almost always good, no matter what they are. Like there's been very few houses that I just didn't like. Like last year, I didn't like the Chupacabra house. That one was kind of lame. This year, I wasn't crazy about the Last of Us house, but I'm also like not invested in that franchise at all. So that house isn't for me. But the first year I went, like we were talking about Hill House, and I wasn't super into that, but the house was fun. So
yeah, I think House of Usher would make a really cool house. It'll be a little bit longer. It'll be a longer one.
And Edgar Allan Poe house would be sweet.
Which one?
Right.
Yeah, just an Edgar Allan Poe house in general.
Yeah, I think a Scream one would be cool, but it wouldn't be.
They've done a Scream one before.
I thought I think I told you they tried to do one. They couldn't get the copyright. I can't remember. It's been going on for so many.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
my roommate had a good idea, and it's a movie that I don't think is very good, but it would make a great house, which is 13 Ghosts.
Ooh, yeah.
Speaking of
that would be fun.
That house would be better than the movie.
Yeah. You get special glasses when you go inside, and there's like other things you can see.
They've done houses where you wear 3D glasses in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done several of those actually.
So I wouldn't now.
It's stupid, but it would make a great HHN house.
Yeah,
just because of the design of it.
Yeah, but going back to the Scream one real quick, it wouldn't be a particular Scream movie. It would just be. I think you should call it like Scream, Ghostface Greatest Kills or something like that. And it's
something like that.
Iconic kills throughout it.
Yeah,
throughout the 6 movies. With me and you just produced Scream 5 on Fear of God.
Yes, we did.
It was out today. When we're recording.
And by the time this is out, I will have also been on there about Scream 6.
Oh, you're doing Scream 6 too?
I'm doing Scream 6. Because I'm like a Scream super, like that. My first appearance on the show, I was talking about Scream 4.
Oh, nice.
And how it's my favorite horror franchise. And so they asked me to do Scream 5. And then about a week later, it was like, hey, you want to do Scream 6 as well? I was like, yes.
Right.
So.
Yep. But anyways, man. You ready to talk about Trick or Treat? Now, do you want to add anything? You got any questions about Jason, Eric?
I have no questions. I think you guys utterly sold it. And if I were working for Universal, I would give you money and passes for all future appearances you want to do there. You've talked me into it if I ever decide to go. So yeah, I don't have any questions.
Yeah, maybe next year, man.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Trick or Treat time. In the plot summary for Trick or Treat, according to IMDb, 5 interwoven stories that occur on Halloween night. An everyday high school principal has a little secret as a serial killer. A college version might just have met the guy for her. Aw, how nice. A group of teenagers pull a main prank. Those darn teenagers always pulling them pranks. Egg peel houses, T-Peen. A woman who loathes the night has to contend with her holiday-obsessed husband. And a mean old man meets his match with a demonic, supernatural trick-or-treater named Sam, the bag mask kid. So,
That's it.
Yeah. Real quick, let's go around the room. I'll start with you, Eric.
Sure.
How did you find out about this movie, and what is kind of your relationship with it, and what are your overall thoughts?
I remember hearing about this movie before it came out, and just seeing some stills of it. It was like in 2000, because when was it originally officially released? Was it 2009, 2008, something like that?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there,
yeah. I remember hearing about it in 2007. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then it just never came out. And then it was just like, now it's direct to DVD. And I was just like, it's probably terrible. And so like, I just assumed it was going to be bad. And it was like pleasantly surprised when I watched it. Most like, there's a lot of like direct to DVD stuff, especially in like the early 2000s, like horror movies that were just like, just the lowest common denominator of like schlock, because they couldn't make any money off of it in theaters. I think the reason this one didn't do it is because Bryan Singer's name was attached to it, and because of like, I read somewhere that it was like Superman Returns kind of killed this movie because they were the circles everyone kind of ran in. So the writer wrote Superman Returns, and Bryan Singer produced this one because that movie failed so horribly.
He did write Superman
buried
Returns,
this.
didn't he?
Yeah, they just kind of buried this movie. So, which is a shame because it's a lot of fun. It works out pretty well. It's like a brisk 80 minutes. But yeah, no, that's kind of how I remember hearing about it. Disappeared. It came back out. I had low expectations. Pleasantly surprised.
All right, and then what are your overall thoughts about this movie?
Pretty good. I think it works pretty well as an anthology, and also maybe doesn't. I think it works well as an anthology because it's all interconnected. Like everything's intercut, so you never get really too bored with a story before it moves on to the next one or intercuts with a different one. But as standalone stories, they don't necessarily. I don't know if they'd work. You know what I mean? Like if it was a creep show style, where each one's in its own block, it may just because like the Dylan, like the one with what's his name, Dylan Baker, with his son. Like after that one ends, it's just kind of like, oh, it ends. And really, you get the payoff with it with the werewolf ladies later. You know what I mean? Like there's multiple payoffs that happen. So if they weren't intercutting them, if they were like by themselves, I don't think it would work. But for the most part, it's like a super successful anthology, in my opinion. Like because a lot of the times you like watch anthology movies and you're like, well, even if they were all great, you're still kind of like, well, there was like 2 that were really good, and that one was kind of a dud by comparison. But it's kind of hard to like pull these apart. So like, pretty good for 80 minutes. I give it a 3 out of 4 stars. Was I supposed to rate it already? I think I jumped the gun. Sorry.
What about you, Jackson? What did how did you find out about this movie? What's your relationship with it, and what are your overall thoughts?
Similar to Eric, I remember hearing about this movie long before it came out, and I kept waiting for it to come out. It never did, and I was really bummed. But then when it finally did hit DVD, I can't remember. I think I was still getting like discs from Netflix back then, so I probably got it through Netflix. And yeah, I was super happy with it. I was like, why would they not put this movie out? I would have paid money to see it in theaters. Absolutely. Yeah, and as far as my general thoughts on the movie goes, I think I can't remember the name of the town in the movie. But that's the town where I want to go spend a Halloween.
Oh, absolutely.
That seems like the most fun. Like, this town goes all out for Halloween.
In Ohio.
Like, people partying in the streets and everything. And like, it just seems really cool. I love the sort of fall atmosphere of this movie. Everything looks really beautiful and it's chilly. Like, you can feel like the chill in the air when you watch it. And I love everybody's Halloween decorations. And one thing I'll say about the way that the movie is constructed, I agree. I think it's way better as an anthology because all the stories are interconnected. But the other thing I love is how Doherty, I don't know how you say it. Just keeps pulling the rug out from under you throughout the movie. Every time it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. No, you don't. Nope. He's gonna turn the screw one more time. Which makes it both scarier and funnier because it's just like, oh, surprise. This is not the story you thought you were seeing. Yeah.
Right. But apparently this town like that they shot in is in Vancouver. It's in like Canada, and they really do this celebration apparently once a year or something like that. Yeah, so like a lot of the people who are background just were going to do this sort of thing anyway. I don't know if they shot it during Halloween, but I think they recruited a lot of the same people.
It really surprised me because this movie, even more than John Carpenter's Halloween, like just really breathed Halloween through every end.
It really does. It is
Double
the
down
ultimate.
On every
It's the ultimate Halloween movie as like a holiday, you know. Yeah.
But I like how I found out about this movie was IMDb message boards.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I kept seeing it like in stores to buy, and I don't have any special stories with. No, actually, I do have one story. A couple of years ago, after me and my mom got done watching our annual Halloween viewing every year that we have to do on Halloween, I popped this in, and she just wasn't into it at all. I thought it was stupid, and then we got to the werewolf scene, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this movie." Yeah, that's
only pretty good way. That's like 45-50 minutes into the movie at that point.
Yeah, there was a lot of sexual stuff in this movie that I forgot about that I have to skip through. Like, I knew the dude's like watching like the porno movie up top, but I forgot that.
I
had forgotten about that until we rewatched it. It's called like Nature Scene or something like that, or Nature Show.
Yeah, it's called like Nature Show or something.
Well, I thought it was Halloween. I thought when he said special tape, I thought it meant it was Halloween.
Yeah, no, they're using that to get in the mood.
Yeah, it was probably Halloween.
Which would have been even funnier if it really was like a nature show.
Yeah. Like that episode of Friends where Monica thinks that Chandler is into shark porn.
He's up there watching wildebeests in the wild.
Yeah. But I love this movie. It's my favorite horror movie of that decade. Yeah.
Well, it was not a very strong decade for horror.
That's true.
And this came out like I think, isn't it 2009 when it actually?
Yeah, I think it's when it finally got released.
So yeah, it's right at the end of a decade where horror has been in a doldrum, and we're getting into the 2010s where horror starts to get really good again. Yeah,
it's very good. Yeah. Like some of the best horror movies.
So maybe this is the movie that ushered in the new wave of great horror. Yeah.
I mean,
because you're right though. Like the 2000s were just like littered with like these super gritty, like torture porn was real big during that time, and everything was just very like gross and ugly. And this movie's a little gross and ugly. Like the kid dragging his like sheet blanket filled with candy through the street, and it's just covered in mud.
Yeah, but it's done in such a good-natured way.
Right.
Yeah.
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 But let's get into the details. I love the intro to this movie where it's the couple coming home from Halloween, the one we just talked about. And she wants to blow out the pumpkin, and the dude's like, no, don't blow out the pumpkin. Like, it's a tradition to leave the pumpkin, the lights on. And that kind of sets up the whole kind of theme in the movie about tradition and, all that stuff. And that plays a big role in the next segment. And then so she's taking out all the decorations, and there's like these blankets, I guess, to be like ghosts or something like that. And she takes one of them down, and then Sam pops up and like stabs her.
Like shoots up super high too. I forgot how high like that blanket goes like looking like 8 feet up in the air. I love it.
The thing that bothers me about that scene is like, who wants to spend like Halloween night taking down the Halloween decorations? Yeah. What a buzzkill.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just take them down in the morning. You'll be fine. Go inside and have sex with your husband.
Yeah. Watch your nature show.
Yeah.
Enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. Your very Kmart version of Patrick Wilson husband.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know. I don't know that actor, but I don't feel like I've seen him in anything else. I know that's Leslie Bibb, right? As the
Is it really?
Yes, it's Leslie Bibb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The guy, his name is like Tomoa something. He's from Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
The reboot series. Yeah. That's what I know him from. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna call him Kmart Patrick Wilson. He kind of looks like Patrick Wilson to me.
You think everybody looks like Patrick Wilson?
Do I really?
You've got like a hang up on Patrick Wilson.
The only other person I thought looked like Patrick Wilson was Reed from Fear of God. Because I did that Fear of God podcast when I did the cast list of people that would like you got John C. Reilly and David Harbour as yours. And I got Ryan Gosling because I just have to have the best looking actor for mine.
Oh goodness gracious.
But anyways, and then the husband finds her like dead, hanging on one of the posts with Sam's lollipop knife in her mouth. And
I love the gradual reveal of that too. You go because he's got all these fake arms and legs hanging from the tree, and then he looks over and sees an arm with her wedding ring on it. It's a great little reveal. Yeah. Because we know what he's gonna find, but just the way it's employed is very excellently done. Yeah.
Well, we know we're gonna find something messed up. We just don't know what it is.
It's true. I mean, but also too, like the cheap thing would be to just like a severed head on top of there. You know what I mean? It adds that little bit with that candy stuck all the way in there. You know, like a grin way too wide for her head.
You gotta love a movie where the murder weapon is a lollipop with a bite taken out of it.
And they got
multiple times.
Yeah, it comes back to it.
Yeah. Well, in the Stranger Things line, there was a lady that had who had that purse.
What?
When we're in the line for Stranger Things, there was a lady that had a purse for that line, or for that movie.
You were noticing like everybody's shirts and their like bags and stuff. Like he was going around like saying, "I love your shirt. I love your bag." I'm not even noticing any of this stuff.
Jackson.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I do it too if I see somebody's shirt that I like. But yeah, I just most of the time I'm not really looking at the other, attendees. I'm looking at all the, other stuff.
Well, I'm doing both. So yeah. And then I like the comic book intro. That was a little bit of an ode to Creep Show.
Yeah, it's a great credit sequence.
Yeah, with the tribute house for Ace Sin with a little bit of an ode to like Tales of the Crypt kind of thing.
Yeah,
which is another classic sort of anthology series.
Yeah, and they had a comic book that you could buy, and I had to buy it. Yeah, it was called Tribute to Terror. And the Crypt Keeper kind of character is named the Curator. And the cover is on this little kid like reading the comic book, and the curator's like right behind him. So that's a classic like horror comic imagery right there. But yeah, I forgot to mention that in our ACSN discussion. But anyways, the dressing room scene is really good foreshadowing for the werewolf.
They set up that they've been like roaming around for every Halloween in like different spots. And you think it's like a setup that it's like we've been, sexing around the country, but it's really like they've been murdering their way across the country.
Yeah, they do. It's a really good use of double entendre in the thing. Yeah. Because then once it's revealed, you're like, oh, that's what they meant. Okay.
Yeah. Like I mean, the thing is, like some people get off mauling people as a werewolf.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I said,
if I was a werewolf, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we all have
well, I mean, I am a werewolf, and I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Sorry, I love that.
Okay, I don't know that reference.
Oh, that's Vampire Kiss with Nicolas Cage.
Okay, I have seen that, but I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, Eric
I definitely remember that part. Yes.
Yeah, Eric bought that for me for my birthday this year. That movie's amazing. Am I getting through to you, Alva?
I love Nicolas Cage.
Anyway, we get a really gross vomiting scene from the bad Santa Claus.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
And he pauses for a second and goes,
Also, I'll say, as soon as Dylan Baker shows up, I already get creepy vibes. Have either one of y'all seen Happiness?
I have.
Todd Solondz? As soon as he shows up, I just immediately think of that movie.
It's like, I don't trust him.
And I'm just like, don't trust him one bit, because he definitely plays, I'm not going to mention where, he's definitely a pedophile in that movie, and so immediately I'm just like, he's hanging out with kids, and I'm like, oh, it's not good. That kid's dead.
It is. Happiness is such a twisted movie.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Incredibly messed up. Strong stomach.
Yeah, well, if ever remade Reanimator, you gotta get Dylan Baker as Herbert West. He would be perfect for that role.
Okay, I never thought about that. Yeah,
I mean, he even looked like that in this movie a little bit. With like the real slick glasses, slick back hair, his little tie, white shirt. But he really looks like, and I think that's where Stuart Copeland or whoever. Now, the guy who directed
Stuart Copeland's from the Police.
Stuart Gordon is the name of the.
I think that's where he was like he was trying to do, which Herbert West was trying to do, a kind of like a 1950s sci-fi movie scientist kind of thing, that character. And I think Dylan Baker has that kind of look. Like he kind of looked like Bruce Banner a little bit from the comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Average everyday man. Unassuming, terrible white person.
Which is what makes him is what makes him so effective in both this movie and in Happiness, is because he seems so unassuming.
Right. But like the thing I like about Dylan Baker in this movie is like he completely steals the show because he is that perfect blend between like comedy and horror. Like, dude's hilarious in this movie. Like, he's genuinely funny. in this film.
Oh no, yeah, all when he's like,
he's like muttering under his breath about having to do stuff with his kid.
Like, Daddy, I want to carve a pumpkin. Daddy, why did mommy die?
The mommy die line is the one that made me laugh this time around.
Yeah, maybe he killed her.
That's the implication, maybe. There's definitely multiple bodies down in that hole. And I don't know if it's multiple kids or if it's multiple. If the mom is down there, I assume she's already dead, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, you get that ultimate reveal at the end of this section where, like I said, he pulls the rug right out from under you because you think it's going one way. And then he takes the kid down into the basement, and it's something completely different.
Yeah, I was not expecting like you think he was going to kill his son, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's what it leads you down. It leads you down that path, and then switches the path at the last second.
Can I just say this one thing before we move on?
Yeah. Charlie
Brown is an asshole.
True. He's always complaining. Can't kick a football? Ugh, Charlie Brown.
Yeah. I like Charlie Brown. Don't be messing with my boy Charlie Brown.
I identify so much with Charlie Brown.
Yeah. I gotta say that school bus scene was so messed up and terrible.
It is
gorgeous cinematography though in that whole section.
Wonderfully shot. And so unsettling. I mean, when you look there and you see all the masks that the kids are wearing, and they're all these weird homemade like paper masks, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, it starts going through, like he starts walking down the aisle of the bus, and you get that one girl who's kind of a chubby girl, and she's sitting there, and you feel you're creeped out, but at the same time you feel so terrible for these kids.
Yeah,
because it's coming. It's the setup. Yeah.
Want to go home? Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Yeah, and it shows that they're actually chained to the seats. Oh my god!
I think the thing that upset me the most about this was, as you guys know, I have Asperger's syndrome, and I was in special ed, so, and of course, there's different, levels of special education. There's one, I was part of the one where, there was like a teacher. So like there was like a regular teacher there. And then it would be like a special ed teacher to help me out.
Okay.
And then there's like another one where I don't know how like their process was, but it was one that like kids needed extra help. And so many like in like the wheelchairs, and they had like the little screen that they use to talk. I'm trying to think of the most PC way to say this, but they're on the quote unquote special bus or short bus, whatever more.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, further down the spectrum. Yes. Yeah.
Now, I wasn't good friends with these kids, but I talked to them. I said hi to them.
Sure.
In the hall, and they even came to some of my Special Olympics basketball game and football games and all that stuff. And so this scene really just got to me to think about.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that it's possible that these actual kids that I knew, that their parents to be so sick and tired of them that they would need the bus driver to like basically kill them, and that's disgusting to me.
This is like this is probably the most like horror section of the show, like. People die all the time in it, but this is probably the most like disturbing bit of the movie itself, which I guess is about the center point of the movie, and everything else kind of hinges after this on it a little bit, because it ties back up to the old man, and it ties back into the girl pulling the card at the beginning of the movie. But I love Baghead. Baghead was my favorite one.
Well, what's
the one with the big smile and the hair on top?
Oh, interesting about it was it's not a particular funny one or a fun one to watch.
No,
but it sticks with the Halloween tradition because there's all these different ghost stories that people tell. like there's one here in Little Rock. I don't know if you know about the ghost bicyclist or motorcyclist area.
Oh, I feel like there's one in like every town. I feel like there's the headless motorcyclist or like the court man riding a horse.
Yeah. So we live in
Whatever.
Arkansas, and there's this real famous one in Little Rock where there's like this road. There's like this not dirt road, but like woods where like the road is like super curvy, like super like steep, like to like the left or the right or whatever. And there were just bicyclists and like this motorcyclist in like the 50s or the 60s, and he had an accident there. And if you park your car in the middle of this road at a certain time of night, apparently the person like that drives right behind you looks like it's flying over you, and people think it's the ghost of the motorcycle list. Yeah, so there's all kinds of legends. Apparently there's like a ghost train here in Conway.
There's another one in like Gurdon, where you like walk down the tracks and you see a light.
Yeah, some kid got run over like trying to see it. By like an actual train. And every town had their ghost stories or their legends.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I think this movie works really well in that it sets up sort of like the different eras of like being a child. Like you go from like the little kid to the adolescent kids to the teenager, older adults looking for sex to like the old man Scroogey type kid. You know what I mean? Like adult, which I think is a fun like dynamic for all these stories to take on. Sorry, you were saying something, Jackson?
I was just going to tell you, like, the little town where I grew up, this was not a ghost story. This was a real guy that everybody just called the Walker. And he would just be walking around at night. Like, and there were all these stories about him, like breaking into people's houses. And I don't know if any of those were true, but I remember one night when I was at church and we were outside in the parking lot just like playing around, and I turned around and I saw him. And it was genuinely one of the most frightening things. It's just a guy walking down the road.
Sure.
But I had heard so much about the Walker, and I was like, Walker.
Let's go inside.
Yeah.
Well,
as far as I know, he was completely harmless. He just walked around.
Yeah, that reminds me of one that this one story that Wes Craven tells, which was his inspiration for Freddy Krueger, where when he was a kid, there would be like this guy in this trench coat and a top hat, and he would just walk around like his neighborhood, just real creepy, and he would watch them from the top floor of his bedroom, in his bedroom, and look down, and like the guy would just stare at him and have like this real big creepy grin on his face.
Oh my god, that's nuts! It's really scary.
Yeah, and you would just make it. It was like what you say. He would just make up stories about what this guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the school bus part, I hate the prank. I mean, it's obviously it's necessary for the story, for the segment of the story, but it's so mean.
It is so mean.
Yeah, it's very mean.
And the chick who dressed up as the angel is like the leader of the bullies, and she's in charge. And I don't know what her backstory is, obviously, but I would imagine that she's from a rich family. And
she seems like one of those. She's a Karen in training.
Yeah, she basically has no sympathy at all.
Yeah, I guess these kids are kind of given the least amount of backstory of anybody, because we know that like Dylan Baker's the principal of the school. We know that the old man Brian Cox is the school bus driver from there. We know the girls have been like traveling around and doing like horrible things like the kids are just kind of kids. We don't really get much backstory on them. But I forget where I was going with that.
The one thing I do like in that sequence is you get that one kid Schrader, who's like the oldest kid, and he's not great. You know, he throws around like the R word a little bit more than you'd like, but he also like he is the only one of those kids that like you start to feel like has sympathy for the girl that they're pranking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he kind of
like it seems like he genuinely likes her. Even though he talks about her in kind of a mean way once in a while, but I do like the inclusion of one kid that actually kind of is conflicted about the prank that they're pulling.
No, and it's like it sets up that it basically gives you a sympathetic character that's going to get killed too. You know what I mean? So like, that probably the girl's going to get away, but like, is this kid worthy of actually living now at this point? Obviously not, because he's still a big jerk. But
well, I will say with the Strider kid, I think the reason why he's using like the R word and saying like some derogatory stuff towards the autistic girl dressed up as the witch is because he's quote unquote cool to Macy.
Yeah,
I think
Macy, he doesn't know any better. He's just a stupid kid. But he definitely has more of a character arc than the rest of the kids.
Right. They do hint at something there. It's whenever they first walk up to the girl's house, the witch girl's house. Is that the angel girl turns back and says like she said something to him, but it's like she calls him a traitor, which means that there is some sort of backstory with them that may have been cut out. I don't know what that.
I don't know
what that. I guess it's just to imply that he owes them, and that's why he's going along with this or something like that. Like he, along those same lines of him like feeling like compassion towards her, is that he's kind of forced into the situation too by them. He's kind of bullied into it a little bit, although they don't probably lead into that probably strongly enough.
Yeah, and maybe like him and Macy like were boyfriend and girlfriend at one point.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's all speculation, I guess, but
yeah.
She just had those vibes of like somebody that grew up like in privilege. And then like she just turns out to be a little monster, and now she's fucking dead.
Now they're all dead.
Yeah, she's the only one that deserved it. Like I feel like the pirate guy was kind of conflicted. Of course, the alien kid, and then the other girl, I can't remember her name. What she dressed up as. Like, I think they're just along for the ride.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also too, I mean, I will say this: no one dies on camera really in this movie. Like it's all off camera, like all the kills, if you think about it.
Yeah, almost everybody. Yeah.
Because I know the old man at the end, he's off camera. All three of these kids are off camera. Dylan Baker dies off camera, basically. The only one would be like the kid, the bad Santa kid who like yarfs at the beginning. He's basically dead.
Well, then there's the girl that Dylan Baker as the vampire
it's true
kills in the alleyway, and then he pretends that she's just passed out drunk and lays her up against the building.
Yeah, that was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, you want to talk about something that could really happen? That could really happen.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Could you get like vampire fangs that you could put in your mouth and actually kill somebody with them? I don't necessarily buy that.
No, I just meant I'm just talking about like the kind of the predator kind of thing, like.
Sure, exactly. Yeah.
Guy like pursuing an innocent woman. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Bram Stoker's Dracula, where he follows Winona Ryder to like the porno theater, and he's essentially raping her. Like, and he like holds back. He's like, "Oh no, this looked like my wife from back in the day."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this movie does, for as light as it is most of the time, it does skirt around some like darker imagery and darker themes a lot, without going too much into them. I think if it had been a little darker in some of these other parts, it would have been a little less fun to watch this movie at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I think the real messed up part about that scene is when the husband and wife from the beginning, the robot and spaceman, they walk past her, and like the woman is like, "No, we need to help her out," and the guy's like, "No, she's just drunk." And like, no, like I know it's Halloween
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to be dressed up in costume and all bloodied up and gored up and, a little intoxicated, but like, maybe take it seriously a little bit.
Yeah, but I do love the scene where she runs out of the alleyway and she's trying to get help. And she looks around and she sees a whole bunch of people covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's not going to stand out in this crowd. But that was just
Right.
a really nice little touch.
Yeah.
She sees like all these people drinking beers or whatever, and they're all covered in blood. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then she realizes that she's,
yeah. She looks like
she doesn't
everybody
have a
else.
chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Granted, he kills her like in the middle of everybody, though. Like,
right.
Someone should have seen.
Yeah. I mean, it's Halloween, man. Like, there's going to be some scary stuff that's going to go on. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that what Filmmaker's doing is right. Because he's a fucked up human being.
Right.
Like, I actually kind of... It's weird because like I said he's funny in this movie, but like he's like killing children and like preying on young women.
Sure. I mean, but these are, the kind of setups for a lot of like horror movies. They eventually, I think it's the comeuppance that makes it all fun, worthwhile. You know what I mean? So I think the setup, you have to have like a very serious setup in order to pay it off. And so the payoff with the Vampire Man is that he gets his comeuppance from the people who you think he's going to kill. So it's that pull the reverse, the rug out again sort of thing. So that's where like the fun comes in, is that you have to set up these like the stakes. If there's no stakes, then nothing matters. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So like you have to set up that, oh, he's a threat, and then he's preying on people, and then you pull the rug out from everybody, and then you're like, oh, and then like the kids who are dead at the bottom of the ravine now get they get the comeuppance on the old man at the end, sort of thing. So it's like that's what kind of like builds through the fun, even though there's some like really dark stuff in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We got 2 more segments to talk about. The werewolf segment.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, this one's really cool. It's kind of sexual a little bit. It kind of turns.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say kinda. It's pretty...
There's no kinda. Well, no. It's like how Jumanji is kind of a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
I think that's a reference to something we said before we started recording. But yeah.
No, I would totally love to have Anna Paquin dress up as Little Red Riding Hood on top of me.
I love that. That touch is just great.
Yeah, like you wouldn't want that, Jackson. Like,
I mean, yeah,
that's fine.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I might have to be mauled by a werewolf, but like just for those brief seconds before I die, I can say
I would let a sexy werewolf kill me. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, like I can go to my deathbed knowing that Anna Paquin was trying to turn me on.
I will say too, along with the scene is along those same lines, is that the transformation scene is literally them stripping off their clothes and then their skin.
Then their skin,
to like become,
that
and
is
it's just like chef's kiss.
So gross. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's all to Sweet Dreams, the Marilyn Manson version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another house, like a House on Haunted Hill. We talked about House on Haunted Hill earlier, right? A little bit, did we? No, there's a House on Haunted Hill.
We were talking about
like 13 Ghosts. It's the same. 13 Ghosts, the same people who made Robert Zemeckis produced all those, but then House on Haunted Hill, the Sweet Dream song is in that as well. That's what made me think of it. Sorry.
Okay.
A little back way into something indirectly that we talked about.
Yeah, that's a really good cover. I'm not a huge Marilyn Manson fan, but I do love that cover.
Yeah. Apparently there was a different song for this scene, and like I think the producers recommended they put something more hard into it. I can't remember what the other one. I think it's that I forget how it goes, but it's like feel it, and it's like I don't remember. You'll have to look it up. I don't know what it is. Okay. Sorry, I failed you.
You failed me for the last time. is there anything you want to say about this segment, and before we moved on to the last one?
I mean,
it's a lot of fun.
It's the most fun of the segments, at least for me, because I mean, we talked about this already when I was with Drew. Like, I just love werewolves. That's my jam. So, and I love the reversal. I love that, she's dressed up as Little Red Riding Hood and she's going through the woods, and you think the big bad wolf, but no, she is the big bad wolf.
Yeah, this is definitely my second favorite segment. Number one has to be the Dylan Baker thing. Like, I think that's just funny.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I could want that. Like, I almost honestly, I mean, minus a few like a couple of elements to it. Like, it feels like its own movie. Like, it feels like it's most like its own movie.
Yeah, you could make a whole movie out of just those girls. I don't know if it would work, but because once you reveal that they're werewolves, but you could have like a whole teen sex comedy where at the end of the movie it's revealed that they're werewolves.
Or that's like the 20-minute mark. That's when like Inciting Incident happens, and now we're into a whole different movie.
Like From Dusk Till Dawn or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you told me that you watched a trailer where it revealed that they were vampires, I'm like, what trailer is this?
That trailer, I know I saw it. I knew before I saw the movie it was going to be a vampire movie, but apparently most people didn't know that.
Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've always known it was. I knew before I saw it that it was a vampire movie.
What?
I don't know how I'd know that either.
I have watched it with people who didn't know, and then when that reveal comes, they're like, "What? What?"
I would have loved to live in that world. I feel like I've always known it was like a vampire. I'm pretty sure every television ad.
It was in at least TV spots.
Yes. Yeah. Because they would just set it up like, oh, it's an action movie, and then it's like, no, there's vampires. Like, basically, and they show how Selma Hayek transforming in the trailer. I'm almost positive I've seen that.
Yeah, that's like one of the sexiest scenes in any movie with the snake, and then she goes up to Tarantino, puts her foot in his mouth, and then pours the alcohol.
You just know, like Tarantino, it's like my entire life has been building to this moment.
But
it's like I write this.
That would be another moment. That would be another like movie scene that I was just like a sexy one. I would love to be a part of. It's like Selma Hayek is
snake.
Like absolutely beautiful, in my opinion. Like she's up there with Carla Gugino as like some of the most beautiful women of all time.
Sure.
Very talented actress as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in too much, but
she's great. Did you see Frida? You should watch the Frida. Yeah, Frida's really good.
She's really good in that. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's an okay movie, but she's great in it.
She's great at it. Yeah.
All right. So you ready for the last segment, and then we can get to the horror Mount Rushmore?
Okay,
let's do it.
The last segment is Brian Cox's character. Do you guys remember his name?
Krager,
Old Man Bacon, Old Man Fuckface.
I don't remember. Starts with a K or a C. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Kriegs or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, old man that didn't like Halloween.
Crouton.
Yeah.
Old man dress driver.
Yeah, I mean it's basically Scrooge. It's basically Halloween Scrooge, is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to talk about just real quick that like up until recently we haven't had like a lot of like Halloween icons. It's usually like just movie characters. Honestly.
Yeah,
like Frankenstein, Michael Myers, Now Sam is that a Halloween icon, and then decorations too. Like 'cause Christmas you had like Santa Claus, and then like Easter you have the Easter Bunny, and then Valentine's Day is Cupid. But like, but it's just Halloween. There's not like a central.
And that's one of the things that makes this movie so good to me is that he actually made a movie that's about the holiday. Yeah, like, lots of movies take place. I mean, the Halloween movies, they take place on Halloween, but they're not really about Halloween. But this is the guy that would go on to make Krampus. And he's actually made the equivalent of a Christmas movie, but for Halloween.
Yeah.
I guess Nightmare Before Christmas did it before, but that's also a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Right. And that one skips the line between the two. Yeah.
It's both. But this is this is an actual Halloween movie.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that like Santa Claus, I mean, of course, there's been many different legends of that person.
Right.
But, he's like the king of Christmas. Essentially. Right. Like he's like the keeper of the holiday. Has really been that kind of character or figure for Halloween up until this movie. Up until Sam.
And they do it, man, he nails it with Sam. Sam is such a great, like, sort of stand-in for the spirit of Halloween. Super well designed, so creepy, but also has that sort of like faux innocence too, because he's a trick-or-treater, you know? He's got a candy bag.
Well, he still sounds like a kid too. Like even when he's attacking like the old man, still sounds like a child, which is really creepy.
And I think that's what Mike Doherty wanted to do with this movie, was to have a Halloween equivalent of Santa Claus, because it just haven't been. Like there's been like
it doesn't really exist.
You know,
right? And it's like his name too. It's like the witch girl says it earlier. It's like Sam Haim, or like whatever the old,
which is a mispronunciation,
right?
Because it's actually pronounced Samhain. But it's spelled Sam Hain.
Yeah, right. And Sam Hain is also the name of one of Glenn Danzig's band, the guy from the Misfits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Mother.
Because Sam Hain sounds creepier than Samhain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Samhain sounds boring. Like Sam Hain sounds more evil.
It does sound more evil. Yeah.
Oh well, speaking of things being evil, I remember you were telling me about this one Aces in House last year about the Pumpkin Lord.
That was 2 years ago, but yes, the Pumpkin Lord. It was a house called the Wicked Growth, and it was like you were inside a giant pumpkin. It was great.
And then for some reason, I just decided to say evil and not even connected to that. And I think you thought I meant, like, I was saying if he was evil, and you're like, yeah, he is. I'm like, oh, that's like, I just randomly said evil, Jackson. I don't know why I said that. I don't want why I mentioned that story. I don't know. Anyways, so anyways, this jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, little guy in the scarecrow mask from Batman Begins attacks the original Hannibal Lecter. This is the original Hannibal Lecter here from Manhunt.
I mean, I will say it's a wonderful reveal on him once they finally pull the mask off. It's very unexpected, but also expected because of just the shape of his head. It's like two rounds,
right?
And then once they pull it off, it's great. It's
like an alien pumpkin.
It's a nice surprise. He's an actual pumpkin. It's great.
Yeah, like an alien-looking pumpkin. Like
very like Pumpkinhead meets something else. I can't remember. I thought of it earlier. It was
and his head also sort of looks like a skull a little bit.
Yeah. It's like if an alien and a skull and a pumpkin like had a threesome. You get him.
You get him.
Yeah, essentially. And he beats the attacks. This old man comes around like Ebenezer Scrooge, like what you said, and then trick-or-treaters go up to his house. He's nice to them, gives them candy, and then the dead children. Last accident comes up.
I will say before all that though is where they really do their like Inception or Memento moment where they reveal like the order of everything. One like little bit where you realize like the kids were probably the first, and then it was Dylan Baker, and then the old man, and then it was like the couple across the street, and then it all ends that way. Because you realize the sequence of everything, the chronology of it all, like in that final little bit, like everything starts connecting up together, which is nice.
A lot of some of it's probably taking place around the same time.
Well, and this is also like the Pulp Fiction of horror movies. You have to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction with a little bit of, I don't know, Crash, Magnolia, any of those
Yeah,
things where it's a
yeah.
bunch of interconnected stories, but they're not, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all individual stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
All told in a tight 80 minutes.
I know. It's impressive that he works
Yeah.
in as much as he does in such a short runtime. Yeah.
Right. So before we get to the favorite part, least favorite part, did you guys want to say anything else about this?
Well, just as far as the sort of final sequence goes, it had been a few years since I had seen it. And I think I remembered somewhere during the movie that Brian Cox was the bus driver. But then when Sam doesn't kill him, I had forgotten the very, very ending. And I was like, wait, are they about to give the bus driver like redemption? Because I had forgotten, oh, wait, the zombie kids show up on his doorstep. But for a second, I was like, what is this movie teaching you?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait, no, that's what happens in all these segments. Somebody gets their comeuppance for something terrible they've done.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't really think about that. If you haven't seen it in a while, or this is your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. All right. No comment. Do you want to say anything before we get the favorite part, least favorite part, Eric?
No. I mean, great. It's great. It's fun. Super fun. Super fast. I forget how short it is every time because I haven't watched it probably a couple of years. And I remember like pausing it at one point because I'd forgotten that the whole trick of the movie was that it's all intercut. I knew it was an anthology movie, but I'd forgotten all of it.
Yeah, I had forgotten that element of it as well.
Yeah. And like rediscovering, I'm like, because they do the deal, they set up the Dylan Baker thing, and then it just like cuts away to someone else. I'm like, okay, everything, and then it's good. It's a fun structure.
Yeah, cool. What is your favorite part, least favorite part, Jackson?
Sorry, swallowed some air there. I think my favorite part is just the general vibe of the movie.
Okay.
Just the fall atmosphere, everybody wearing Halloween costumes, the idea that it's truly a holiday movie for Halloween. Yeah, so it's not any specific part. I just love the overall general thing that it's doing.
Right.
Least favorite part, I don't really have one. I mean, I find this movie thoroughly enjoyable. I can't pick a least favorite part.
Okay.
Maybe the Marilyn Manson song. It's a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
I like that scene a lot, but it would have been better with a different music cue, I think.
Okay. Yeah, fair. Eric?
Favorite part, I love the cinematography on like the bus flashback. I think it's all like super like inside the bus is very like misty and golden light and everything. And then when the bus like goes over the edge, we just linger there for a second and push in. It's great. I love I forgot how like beautiful all that stuff looks. So that was a nice like surprise to like see again. And then least favorite part, I mean, I guess if I was going to nitpick it, it's like we don't really get any character development from anybody for the most part. Like they're all pretty, they come as you see them sort of thing.
Right.
There's some nice little touches here and there. Like maybe there would have been a little more like from the kid who like takes care of like who like so sympathy to the girl, or like we got a little more with Dylan Baker or something. I don't know. But that's just like nitpicky sort of stuff. And then also you just would have extended the runtime and probably just it detracted from the movie altogether. So I probably would have said that would have been my least favorite thing if they did do that. So I take it back.
He just talked myself out of it, negating his entire argument. Pulled the rug out from under us. It was a twist.
My favorite part would have to be the Dylan Baker scene. I think that is hilarious to me. And just like the comic timing. I bet that was a lot of fun to film on set. And I bet there's a lot of good like outtakes or like alternative takes or stuff like that in that scene, probably. There tend to be a lot of those in comedy movies. Least favorite part, I wanted more backstory with Macy. Maybe like a dialogue scene to kind of tell you why he's such a bitch.
Yeah.
And then real quick, before we get into the Mount Rushmore, what is your rating for this movie?
Out of 5 or out of 4? What we
Out of 5.
Out of 5? 3.5, 4 stars.
Okay. Jackson.
Oh, solid 4. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. 4. So 4 across the board. 4 for 4. For 4.
I think it's the only time we've ever agreed on anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Evil Dead, we agreed a lot during that episode.
Yeah.
Although I think we all had different favorite Evil Dead
favorite
movies.
ones. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Real quick before we move on, Charlie Brown's an asshole.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Eric, Jackson, for Sci-fi and Beyond listeners, it's time for the ultimate horror movie, Mount Rushmore.
I feel like you're really overselling this.
I feel like this is just going to disappoint. This is setting everyone up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Sorry, everyone.
Bum. So, how this is going to work is we each picked 4 horror movies that we think had the most impact on the genre, the biggest game changer in the genre. And what we're going to do is, if we, between the 3 of us, have at least 5 movies that are different, we're going to put those movies in a big list, and we're going to whittle those down to another 4 and make the master list.
Watch us all pick the same ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they're all exactly the same. Like, I picked that one too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that will be like the master list, which is the 4 we picked. So,
or they all of our lists are completely different.
I've got 3 of them pretty solidly picked. One of them because Drew mandated it.
Mandated it. That was my original concept of this. We were gonna.
Yeah, but I was gonna pick it anyway. But there's one spot. There's one spot up on the mountain. I don't know which way I'm gonna go, so I'm probably just gonna wait and see what y'all say.
Okay.
So let's go around the room real quick and talk about what was your personal criteria for these.
Okay.
And I'll start with you, Eric. What was your strategy with this?
I try to pick within like the horror genre, there are many like subgenres. And there are too many to there's too many to kind of like pick them out. So like I tried to pick ones that kind of like spilled over into multiples, or I tried to pick at least something that would like touch on multiple genres. So like if you were talking like slasher or like monster or like haunted house or something like that, it would be something that could kind of like touch on multiple things and had like tendrils that kind of went out and like had influence in a lot of different areas. Am I right? Probably not. I imagine all of these can be like debated. So I'm sorry, but also that was my criteria. That's what I decided on.
Okay, what about you, Jackson?
Well, I kind of tried to go by kind of eras. It sort of fell apart at a certain point because like I've got like my early one that's pretty set, and I've got my most recent one that's pretty set. But the other ones like for example, like 50s horror, I don't know anything about 50s horror because it wasn't a big genre then. You know, 50s were more about westerns and crime movies and sci-fi.
Yeah.
And that was your horror movie with sci-fi. The giant
what
movie. That was your horror movie with sci-fi, giant monster.
Yeah, giant ants or whatever. Yeah. So I tried to go sort of by eras, but like I said, the middle two picks fall apart. I'm very confident in my first chronological and my last chronological, but we'll see. We'll see where the other ones fall.
My criteria was the 4 biggest movies, like I said, that are like the behemoths, like the real game changers, like the most influential movies. And I picked 3 obvious ones, and then one kind of weird one. It's big. People know it. It's just like it might be my. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So again, Eric, I'll let you go first. And if you have any honorable mentions, you can read them all if you like before you get to your first official one.
Okay, so we're just doing one now?
Yeah, we're doing one at a time.
Okay, well then I'll save my honorable mention for the very end then, or whatever.
Okay. I'm gonna do mine first, just to get all
go for it.
Out of the way.
Oh, wait, we have an honorable mention?
If you wanted to.
If he had it,
okay.
I should have mentioned it honorably.
I've got a good one to pick for honorable mention. Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you go, Eric. Wait.
First one. The first official one. So in this genre, I tried to pick like a monster movie. And I think the one that always kept coming to mind, because I went through a lot of them, was just always going back to like Frankenstein as like the ultimate sort of like sympathetic character, but also like the time it came out in, it influenced so many just like designs of monsters from like there on through like the 50s, 60s sort of thing. It also a little bit of the cultural impact in that people were genuinely, it's not so scary nowadays, but like at the time, greatly, people were fainting in the movie theater. It was like they couldn't show the face without it. Now it's like this iconic thing that people see all the time. But yeah, my first one was Frankenstein, and I think that touches on a lot of different things. And really, you could have said Nosferatu, you could have said any of the other like sort of classic like monsters. But I think that thread carries it all the way through like it and like the host and just like the monster out there who may not actually be a monster, or just like where your sympathies lie and everything. So I picked Frankenstein. Plus he's iconic.
Wait, what is your first official one, Jackson?
I'm gonna go with Nosferatu.
Nice.
Because it would be very easy to pick like a Universal monster movie, but when you look at the stuff that they were doing at Universal, they were really drawing from German Expressionism. And so I had to go to the source on this one. It's Nosferatu. Like, this is like one of the earliest examples of a horror movie that I've seen. I don't know. There probably were other ones. I know there's Caligari and stuff.
Yeah.
That one's not as scary though. But just the design of the vampire in that movie, and the fact that he got away with making a Dracula adaptation without getting any rights to Dracula. But I think that there's a clear influence of that movie on what you would see in Universal, a decade later. So
sweet.
I agree. I almost picked Caligari. I almost picked Nosferatu as well. Like it was between that. I went back and forth.
Yeah, sweet. My first one is gonna be The Exorcist. Obvious.
Oh.
It's obvious.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah. I mean, just watch my Exorcist review that I did with Free Lackey. Just watch it. It's the greatest horror movie of all time. Somebody didn't. No, no. You know it's the best of all time, Eric. Don't bullshit around with me.
I'll keep going. I'll have a rebuttal when you finish. But go ahead.
This movie is just amazing. Like, it's iconic. Like, this is the horror movie. Like, so many people are scared of this movie. It's emotional. The effects are amazing. The acting is amazing. The cinematography is amazing. The sound effects are amazing. Just everything about this movie was so different. for the time. And you weren't allowed to sow this shit before. The most you would got maybe was like in the 30s or the 20s was like Texan, and then like Rosemary's Baby, like a few years earlier. So
I will say that I think it's diminished a little over the past 50 years, just from the barrage of terrible sequels and like parodies. But I don't know. I don't find the movie. I agree with you on like the acting and the effects and all that sort of stuff. I think it's like a credible movie, but I don't find it scary personally. I don't know.
I don't find it scary either. It's at least tied for my favorite horror movie of all time. Because I find it really affecting as a drama.
No, absolutely.
That's when I watch the movie, it's for the character arcs and everything, and watching, Father Karras go through his evolution as a priest and as a person. That's what I find is the thing that makes the movie stick. But yes, it's got some really, really disturbing stuff in there too. So yeah.
The scariest thing to me, the scariest thing to me is that hospital scene, in all honesty. Like the scene where they go in the hospital and it's loud and they pull that like pin out of her neck and start squirting blood. Too much. I can't handle that.
Yeah. So, Eric, what is your second one?
Second one, this one is I don't know, maybe everyone picked this one. I don't know. I tried to pick something that was in sort of this sort of violent gore drama at this point, or like a gory film or a movie that highlighted blood. And obviously the first one is like Blood Feast, which is not a good movie at any extent of the imagination. So I didn't pick that one, but the one I did pick was Night of the Living Dead, because I think it's the one that mirrors that sort of like the idea of like bringing blood into movies, bringing the sort of like taboo thing in there without like with it also being like a good drama and being like socially conscious and all these other things. And I think there's just like a clear line from that like through up till like Terrifier 2, like, you know what I mean? Like they're still making movies that are excessively violent, and I think this is probably the best first one of those sort of like really pushing the limits of what you could show in films. So Night of the Living Dead, that's what I think.
Wait, that's not a bad pick. I totally agree with you. I think Psycho was a good stepping point, because that was a little gory, but this was like some fucked up shit right here. For sure.
It was one of the ones where I was like, when I said I was thinking about maybe one or a different one, that was one of the ones I was toying with the idea. Yes, because it's still kind of shocking to see it now, just because of the way it's shot.
Murdering her parents.
Right.
Well, and I think me and you talked about this earlier. The zombie stuff's scary, but I think for a white audience, in the 60s, I think the scariest thing was seeing a black guy as the protagonist.
You're probably not. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, like, because they were always in the subservient role or villainized, like in King Kong. This was the first time when he had agency, and there's a part when he says to one of the white characters, and he says down, you can be if you want to go down the basement and get yourself killed, be my guest, but up here I'm king. That was like a gut punch as far as like the resistance to the civil rights movement.
I mean, it did come out the same year that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated.
Like that was a gut punch right there.
But there's also like culturally, like it wasn't, I don't know if they set out to make a statement like that, but like because of how it was made, when it was made, all those things just kind of tie together and make something that's probably bigger than the movie ever intended to be, which is, that's the serendipity of like making stuff and then hoping for the best, because it was originally supposed to be a white, like they didn't write it as particularly as a person of color. So it was just like Sigourney Weaver's character in Alien wasn't supposed to be a woman. It was, you know, originally a man. Sometimes it's best person for the job. You know?
Yeah, he just cast the best actor who read for the role, and you know, inadvertently made a social commentary, and then kept doing that for the rest of his career. On purpose,
whether consciously or
yeah.
And I even just watched Dawn of the Dead recently, like last year. Eric let me borrow his DVD because that's like hard to find, and I'm afraid I'm gonna pay $100 for that movie on eBay, and then like a month,
and then Scream Factory is gonna put out like the ultimate 4K
16 disc,
Which I'm surprised they haven't done anything with it, because that's a pretty big horror movie.
I mean, it's a public domain. They could.
Yeah.
Anybody can. Yeah, because of some loophole, it lapsed into the public domain.
Really?
So anybody can put out a DVD of that movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Get on it. God darn it. But anyway, Jackson, when is your second pick?
Okay. I'm going to pick this, and I'm also going to be a little bit sacrilegious about it. Because it's not a movie that I really like that much. It's a good movie, but it's just not one that I feel like I want to watch all the time, but it's undeniably influential, and that is Psycho.
Ooh.
I mean, you can't deny the impact that it had, not just on horror movies, but just movies in general. Like the idea of like the fact that Hitchcock had a rule was like, you can't go to the movie late and you can't talk about it afterwards if somebody hasn't seen it, you know, that sort of thing. And of course, like I said, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite Hitchcock. It's fine. But you can't deny the shower scene. Shower scene is the most iconic, you know, kill scene in all of movies for a reason. Because it is just, he just shoots and edits the hell out of it.
Well, you know what, Jackson? You're fucking dead to me. This is my favorite horror movie of all time, and it was my next one.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess I can talk about it, and I'll have to do your rebuttal after the fact, if that's okay with you, Eric.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I love this movie. It changed so much, because before you had like supernatural kind of movies or like sci-fi alien kind of horror movies. This was the first American horror movie where this could actually happen for real. And it was a pretty taboo topic. It dealt with cross-dressing. Not necessarily for like a sexual satisfaction or him wanting to be the other gender. He was filling a void that he caused by killing his mother, and that was something like crazy at the time.
Is it canonical that he killed his mother?
I think so.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I feel like that's ambiguous in the movie.
It's never set up in the movie, at least. It may be in the novel, because the novel came out before the movie did.
Yeah,
so maybe.
And, you know, I tried reading the novel years and years ago.
Yeah,
and it was kind of boring.
I could never get into it. I had started, and I was like, eh.
Yeah. Well, and of course, Norman Bates in the novel is so different.
Yeah.
From
well, I think the psychologist at the end said that he killed the mom and the
Does he?
Yeah.
That monologue goes on for so long, I just sort of tune out when he starts doing that.
I agree with you. I think it was necessary for a 60s audience, but it did.
Right, yeah, you have to explain the whole reasoning for what happened,
Yeah, I do like how he does differentiates from what a transvestite and then what Norman Bates actually was doing. Because all that, like I said, all of that language was new at the time, and I didn't even know what that was. Like the whole transgender kind of thing. I was kind of new to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it took me years and years and years to parse that out. You know, just from meeting people. You know, talking to people, listening.
Well, I know this is a bit controversial, but like Science of the Lambs, I watched that like a year later, and that kind of that taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't know about.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different debate that we can get on to. But yeah, so that's my second movie. What is your third movie, Eric?
So third one, I tried to look at haunted house movies because I think that's probably you can see clear lines. Even a movie isn't about like a ghost in a house. There's usually someone trapped in a location, and it tries that sort of like genre. So my pick was one that it's not a movie that I love to watch, but I think it's gorgeous, and I think it's like a really good adaptation of it. It's called The Haunting, from like 1963, I believe. It's wonderful. Its cinematography's great. It's Haunting of Hill House again. It's the Shirley Jackson, based on the Shirley Jackson novel.
Robert Wise that directed that?
Robert Wise directed that. Yeah.
He directed so many great movies.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's just a really wonderful adaptation of it, and I think it just kind of like lends it. They've done haunted house movies before then, more of that. They've done haunted house movies since then, but like I feel like that was like, to me, that's like the pinnacle of like haunted house movies, and you can really see like the touches of like Amityville Horror or like even Hereditary or like The Shining in it in places, and so I picked The Haunting.
Sweet. Yep, I just watched that last year, read the book. I still like the Mike Flanagan version, even though the ending kind of sucked. Cause I'm a Flanagan fanboy, man. Like I love everything.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think if I've ever actually seen The Haunting. I'm not sure I have.
It's a great like way to spend 2 hours in black and white, gorgeous cinematography. Give it a go.
Okay.
Yeah. What is your number 3, Action Jackson?
So, I was thinking about picking The Exorcist because, I mean, objectively, yes. But since you picked it and I want to make this more interesting, I'm going to swerve. And I'm going to go with John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh. Okay.
Talk about a monster movie where the monster is absolutely gross and terrifying, because it's not only the effects, which are just some of the best creature effects ever put on film, but the idea that the monster is inside you.
Could be anyone.
It could be anybody. Yeah. So it works as like a paranoia thriller at the same time as it's working as like a gross out monster movie. And I realized like that movie was not a big deal when it came out, but in the 40 years since it came out has only grown and grown and grown in estimation, and it's become like a touchstone point for the genre, to the point where Quentin Tarantino essentially, when he made The Hateful Eight, he was like, I'm really just making a Western version of The Thing.
So much so they used some like unused Ennio Morricone scores.
Yeah, Ennio Morricone music. Yeah. And that's the other thing about that movie is that the music is so awesome. The atmosphere, the snow, and you feel how cold it is. It's so great.
Oh, real quick, I gotta say another birthday present Eric got me.
I don't remember what it was.
Oh, you're gonna remember. Thing vinyl.
Nice.
Yeah, it opens up.
Yeah, it's sweet cover art in that thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a great movie. This is my favorite John Carpenter movie.
I think it's mine too. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's either that or Big Trouble in Little China.
I go back and forth between those two a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Did you want to say anything about this, Eric?
No, I mean, it's a great pick. It was almost the one I switched out for Frankenstein in some ways. I ended up going a little more like classical, and it almost was the one I switched out for like OG gore, because it's pretty perfect as far as like a gore movie too.
The gore is just like when the guy's when the guy's chest opens up and
Oh
the
my
guy
God.
puts his hands in there.
Oh,
and
blood testing.
His chest bites off the guy's hands. Oh my God.
There's like no way to prepare yourself for that the first time you watch it. Like the way mind blowing.
Because why would you ever expect that? Why?
Yeah.
And the dude's head come off, and then it
turns into a spider creature.
Spider creature, yeah.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. It's also it's a funny movie. It's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, interesting fact about that: when the guy says "You gotta be effing kidding me," they didn't film him, like actually film him saying that. It was gonna be like an off-camera thing. But he was like, co-stars was like, no, we gotta film him saying that because that's giving the
right.
Right call. It's the right call.
Yeah, but we can't talk about this movie without talking about the iconic blood test scene.
That's
sick.
Yeah, it's wonderful because if you watch it really closely, they set up that fake hand like three shots before it just to fake you out that it's actually. It's great. It's a wonderful just like subversion of like expectations.
Yeah.
So before we move on, I just gotta ask you, I just gotta say one more thing to you guys. When I invited you to do this Mount Rushmore of horror movies, I didn't expect you to do it tied to this fucking chair.
Oh boy.
Anyways, we're just having a grand old time talking about some horror movies.
Yeah.
But anyways, my next one is a little bottom Jaws 3D.
There? Jaws 3D. What if you did Jaws the Revenge?
What a choice. Huh.
No, it gotta be Jaws because I'm a Steven Spielberg fanboy. Like I got a hard on for Steven Spielberg.
Sure.
I just love his movies. And that's who I'm going for Halloween.
Yeah. Like 90s Spielberg, like with the hat and everything.
Yeah.
White sneakers. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, am I in a jacket and scarf? This movie, like, it revolutionized advertising. It revolutionized the summer movie blockbusters thing. Beforehand, movies would go into like theaters for a short amount of time and then kind of move around the country. But this was the first like widespread movie. And this movie was marketed as hell. There's like an advertisement where it's like the shark and he's eating like the top grossing movies at the time, like The Exorcist, Godfather, and like French Connection. It's pretty funny. And then you got the I can't think of the dude's name, but the guy that did the voice in the advertisement. And he says and one of the classic lines in that trailer is if God created the devil, it would be Jaws. And I'm like, damn, that's some scary stuff, man. And it's just built all this anticipation for this movie. And then you go see it, and it's amazing. Like, it's a badass horror movie, but like a lot like The Exorcist, like you care about these characters.
I mean, and the thing is about this movie is, yes, it's a horror movie. At the end of the sort of third act of the movie, it basically turns into a seafaring adventure.
It's like two movies mashed together.
It really is two movies, but like the horror sequences that are in it, totally. When they go to explore that boat, they don't know if anybody's in there, and that guy's face, his bloated, horrible face, like comes up to the window. It's terrifying. Yeah.
So fun fact.
There's
about that scene. it was Spielberg, the writer, and then it was either the writer's wife or Spielberg's wife at the time. They would eat at a restaurant that was close to a movie theater, and they would time it just right, where they would finish their dinner, and then the theater owner, and they would let them in for free at that exact moment, so they can see the audience reaction.
Nice.
And it's crazy to think that like Steven Spielberg had like the 3 most iconic jump scares in any movie. That one we're talking about, the "we're gonna need a bigger boat," and then the raptor jump scare in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 of the most iconic jump scares ever.
I mean, yeah, like Jaws it's a pretty perfect movie. One for along the same lines of what Jackson was talking about with The Exorcist is that we spend so much time getting to know these characters that by the end we really care about them in some ways. Even like the gruff captain's like you understand where he's coming from, and it's just like it's because the shark didn't work that we got to spend all this time with the actors. But yeah, that's and honestly what makes the movie work a lot for me, especially in the early bits when I know what's happening. It's just like watching all these characters and the situations and like these long takes. It's good. It's wonderful stuff.
And then this, honestly, to me, the scariest thing in the movie is that monologue that Robert Shaw gives.
Oh yeah,
and
you're not even seeing anything scary. You're just hearing him tell this story, and he just says, "Black eyes like a doll's eyes," and it's just like, oh my god!
Oh, back white.
Little Dead review is
chilling.
Favorite horror movie trope is a character talking about a story, a scary story, not showing anything.
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah.
When you got a good actor, when you got someone who can carry it, and you got a good monologue,
right?
Dude should have
nothing scarier than the imagination. So like showing it wouldn't be scary.
Yeah, that dude should have won an Oscar, or should have been nominated for an Oscar for that movie. He should have won an Oscar for that movie. Hell,
I don't think he's ever been nominated for an Oscar. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Show me the way to go home. I want to go to bed. You can sing along. I had a drink about an hour ago.
I think you're doing great by yourself.
To my head. Yeah.
Anywhere I roam.
Oh, you're gonna sing the whole one? Okay.
Home. You can always see me here in the song. Show me the way to go home.
Oh, God.
But it makes me one more anecdote. It kind of makes me think that maybe Robert Eggers had a little bit of inspiration from this movie when he did The Lighthouse, because Willem Dafoe was a little bit like
I can see that. Yeah.
Oh sure. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Was he seafaring? What the hell, Oscars? But anyways, here comes the moment of truth. Do you want to do your?
We're gonna have to fight about all these.
Yeah. Did you want to? Well, it's not the moment. It's before the moment of truth. It's the pre-moment of truth. So before you get to your final one, Eric, did you want to do honorable mentions first, or I didn't know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I could name off like the couple that I was on the fence about. Thought about The Shining. Thought about Jaws. Thought about
Evil The Shining was one I definitely.
Yeah. Thought about Evil Dead 2. Thought about Eraserhead. Thought about Invasion of Body Snatchers. Don't Look Now. Suspiria. Yeah. But none of them made the list, so I don't know. They're still great. You should go watch them.
All right.
That's
it. So what's your final one?
Originally it's changed since we started talking because I'm gonna go against the grain. Nice. And it was originally going to be Psycho, because it's the OG slasher. It's the one that kind of started them all. It kicked off Halloween and all that sort of stuff. But I want to throw a little kink in there, and I think the one that really perfected it probably is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's not a very scary movie nowadays, but I think there's so many things that have like been influenced and been touched by that sort of thing that I picked Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're not going to get any pushback from me on that. That is, I said that The Exorcist is tied for my favorite horror movie, that's the other one.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason I didn't pick it, is because, you know, I was not only trying to do eras, but I was trying to vary up the sort of genres.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked Psycho because it's like the OG kind of thing. But
yeah,
although I think Peeping Tom, which came out a few months before Psycho,
right,
is the better psycho killer movie from 1960. But it's not as influential.
Really messed up. Yeah. Peeping Tom is really messed up too. If you've never seen it,
But back to Texas Chainsaw, it just all feels, it's so tactile. You know,
it's so gross feeling at times, but also it's slick
sweaty
sometimes.
And grimy.
Yeah. All those like spiders crawling around in that old house, which they're gonna try to live there, like stay there. The house is condemned.
And the moment where you meet Leatherface, oh my God! The first time I saw that movie, I was just saying, it was amazing. I remember watching that movie at a Halloween party when I was in college with a bunch of my friends, and I'd never seen it. And it was a revelation. And the thing is it's not a gory movie. No. You just think it's gory. It feels like it's gory.
It's all that implied violence. My favorite thing is the off-kilter way it kind of keeps an audience. It's so like when you're introduced to Leatherface, like you're talking about, like it's the guy walking in and then he trips and then Leatherface shows up. It's just sort of like fake surprise into a real one, and it's just like there's so many like great moments like that. It's just all that built tension with like the hitchhiker and everything, all leading up to it.
The hitchhiker, it's such a weird scene. It doesn't feel like it's from the same movie, but
no, it's like all these bits that don't kind of like fit together, just kind of all just started like cramming together, and it's
like a really horrible nightmare.
Yeah. And there's the implication at the beginning, they never say it in the movie, is that there's these sun flares that are happening. You see it in like the opening titles, is like why it's driving these people crazy in Texas is because it's too hot and like everybody's slowly going mad.
I mean, I lived in Texas. That's absolutely true.
Right. And just it's great. And like the dinner freakout scene is like too intense for words.
Yeah.
So Texas.
What is your Jackson?
All right. So one of Drew's rules was you couldn't pick anything from the last 20 years. So I'm gonna come very close to the line without crossing it. I'm gonna go with 1999's The Blair Witch Project.
Ooh, nice.
I mean, not only did it sort of kick off a found footage craze, which has now become just a staple of horror movies, from Paranormal Activity and the VHS movies and all of that other stuff, you know, even like Cloverfield, which took found footage to a whole different level. But it's just a really effective, like, psychological horror movie where you never see anything. And the way it was made is really cool. Like, they just put these 3 actors out in the woods, gave them the camera. There's no crew.
Yeah.
The cast is the crew also. And they would just like leave them notes for what they wanted them to shoot for that day. And then somehow assembled this very tense movie about 3 film students lost in the woods. And then the ending. Oh my God, the ending.
Yeah.
Just chilling. Just chills you to your bones. It's an incredible movie.
Yeah. It is. It's great. I feel like it really any A24 movie nowadays is almost not doing the found footage bit, but doing all of it where it's just like less you see is more and all that sort of stuff. They just took a footnote from that and The Shining, really. And just all these metaphors and allegories and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like that's a wonderful.
Plus,
I didn't even think
what Drew was saying earlier about the way that Jaws was marketed, this movie was like the first movie to really use the internet.
Yeah.
Like viral marketing, which of course is now just part of movie culture. This movie did it first and probably best.
Yeah.
Did you have any honorable mentions you want to get to?
I mean, we've pretty much said the stuff. I mean, The Thing was originally my honorable mention, but I decided to throw it in the main group. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, obviously there's like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and you could go on and on and on forever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do my honorable mention real quick before I get to my last one. I'm just gonna run through them. I'm not gonna talk about them. Night of the Living Dead, Frankenstein, Scream, Aliens, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Sixth Sense, The Blair Witch Project, Black Christmas, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Signing, Candyman, The Silence of the Lambs, The Evil Dead, The Thing, Dawn of the Dead, and Seven.
7. Okay.
Pretty good honorable mentions. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yep. And for my last one, for my official list, would be Nosferatu. We can not a lot we can say there because Jackson said all of it. It's visual language of horror. Started here, basically.
Yeah, it's great. And there's a wonderful like if you didn't get that, you wouldn't get Shadow of the Vampire, which I also kind of love.
Shadow of the Vampire is pretty rad.
Yeah. So
you had
and the Werner Herzog version from the 70s, which is also
I actually prefer that to the Murnau version. I think it's a cooler movie, but obviously not as influential or important,
right?
You know.
Okay. So guys, before we make this master list, just want to go through your 4 just real quick and just recap so we can remind our audience.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, so I'll let you go. Do you want to read them off? Can I haven't run it down, or you can read them off, Eric?
Sure. Frankenstein, Night of the Living Dead, Haunting, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. And these are the ones that we're trying to get down to 4 to make the ultimate list.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you recap, Jackson?
Yeah, I picked Nosferatu, Psycho, The Thing, and The Blair Witch Project.
And I picked The Exorcist, Psycho, Jaws, and Nosferatu. Okay, so we got 11 movies. Put it down. And so I'm gonna be nice to you guys. I'm gonna have each one of you pick one out of all these 11 that we have to that you can that they're definitely gonna be on the master list, and then we can just argue.
See, I think we should all get to pick one to kick off. I think that's more fun.
I like that idea.
I think we should all get to pick one that just gets vetoed.
Like it's automatically on there, or
no, gets kicked off. Can't be considered anymore.
Okay, let's do it. Well, let's do it both ways. That
we can do both. Yeah, we can do both.
Okay.
Sure, we'll all fun. 3 do one that gets automatically kicked off, and then we'll all do one that's automatically on there, and then we'll all do the last. Okay. So you want to do the one that gets kicked off first?
Yes.
Okay,
you me go first?
I like Jackson go first.
Okay. I got to remember the list real quick because I didn't write anything down.
Okay.
So read the full list one more time.
Okay. Frankenstein, Nosferatu, Exorcist, Psycho, Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, Psycho, The Haunting, The Thing, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Blair Witch Project. What is automatically coming off?
I'm gonna kick off one that I picked.
You're gonna go pick. It's probably the one I was gonna kick off. Go for it.
I'm taking Psycho away.
Damn it, that was what I was gonna pick.
You son of a bitch.
It's my least favorite of the ones I picked. I only picked it because it was important and influential. But it's my least favorite of the 4 that I picked. So I'm kicking it off.
You did. My favorite horror movie of all time.
You shouldn't have let me go first.
We're done. We're done.
You shouldn't have let me go first.
If it wouldn't have been you, if it wasn't going to be you, it was going to be me.
Yeah, he was going to do it anyway. So
yeah.
who cares?
Yeah. You son of a son. That pisses me off.
It's like it's the least horror of all the ones we picked.
Well,
it's more of a thriller. It
psychological
influenced
thriller, for sure.
Horror a lot because it's sort of because of this whole slasher element. But it's the least horror of all the ones that we talked
Well, you know what? It's on the ultimate Mount Rushmore in my heart. So screw you.
Okay, cool.
Eric, which one is coming off for sure?
I think I'm gonna take a note out of Jackson's book and just kick off one of my own. I'm gonna knock Frankenstein off the list, just because I was in between that and Nosferatu, and I'm gonna say Nosferatu was probably the better choice. Frankenstein's coming off. Also, it's not very scary, especially nowadays. It's a great story, character piece, person who doesn't want to be brought back to life anyway. But I'm gonna kick Frankenstein off.
Okay, I'm gonna go with The Haunting. I just feel like it's a very good movie. It's classic, but it's not classic enough to be on here. I feel like it's not iconic enough.
All right, that's fine.
It's not iconic. It's not like a Psycho, where that is.
You don't have to keep rubbing my nose in it. It's okay.
Well, you know what?
Bad movie. That's what
you know
saying.
what? This motherfucker right here took off my favorite horror movie in the ultimate horror movie Mount Rushmore. Okay, so I'm taking out all my anger and aggression on you. So you just shut up.
What? You take it out on him? Although he was going to take it off if I didn't. So
that's true.
Yeah. Any more of a reason.
I probably should have taken Jaws off before I took off Psycho, but whatever.
Yeah, but you only got one, so
I only got one.
Yeah. Okay, so Eric, I'll go back to you. Which one is definitely going on the list?
Definitely going on the list. I would say.
You want to read them off for you again?
Yeah, one more time if you don't mind.
Okay. Nosferatu.
Yeah, just what's left. Yeah.
Nosferatu, Exorcist, Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, Texas Chainsaw, and Blair Witch.
I'm gonna pick The Thing.
Interesting.
Nice.
All right. Let me type it in real quick. Talk amongst yourself.
Well, see,
I don't know what else we're gonna pick.
You picked one of my picks to definitely go on the list. I was also gonna pick one of my picks, but now I feel like I can't do that because why should I get to have two of my picks definitely on there, even if they're worthy picks? So now, this is tough.
Well, can I go? Because I know which one's gonna go on there.
Go ahead.
Exorcist.
You could pick The Exorcist. Yeah, you were gonna say that.
Well, just to avoid the argument at the end or the last one.
Yeah.
It'd be more fun if it's
Okay.
So I can read them off again.
Okay, go ahead. Read them.
Okay. Nosferatu, Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw, and Blair Witch.
See, I really want to pick Blair Witch just so I know it gets on there, but it's okay. I'm not going to pick it. I'm going to pick the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh.
I love it so much. It's like I said, it's tied for number one in my heart with The Exorcist. So,
all right.
Yeah. And plus we need a slasher on there.
Yeah.
Since I took away Norman Bates, we'll throw leather faces. Horrible.
The next step up,
up on the mountain, yeah.
I think that was the only two slashers that we had.
We didn't pick any. We didn't pick it. Nobody said Halloween. Nobody said Nightmare on Elm Street. Nobody said Friday the 13th.
The original slasher, in a way.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not like a slasher the way that Halloween as a slasher,
right?
Or Scream, or even
Right.
All
right, guys. It comes down to this. We got 4 more movies, and we got to pick one to truly represent. And
all right, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna pick? Like, we have to agree on one.
Let me
that's gonna happen.
let me read them, okay?
Okay.
Nosferatu, Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, and Blair Witch Project. So, how we'll do this is, that's all 3 make a case for each one of the 4 movies. 4, and then maybe against, if we can figure out a way.
This is going to be the longest episode we've ever done.
This is our Halloween episode.
Like 3 hours.
Our pre-Halloween episode, so.
Okay.
Okay, so Jackson, what is your argument for and or against Nosferatu?
I mean, if we're going to pick one more of these, as much as I hate to see Blair Witch not on the thing, I think this is the one to pick, because this is like the George Washington pick here.
Yeah.
You can't have a lot of the rest of these movies without Nosferatu, and like y'all were saying, the visual language that it established for the genre. It's so. Like I said, I prefer the Werner Herzog version, but there's no Werner Herzog version without this one.
Right.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to. I think that's the case for it. Is it's the earliest, most influential of the ones that we still have left.
Yeah. What is your argument against it?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I mean, other than the fact that, it's not my favorite. It's not one I'm just gonna throw on a casual. If I'm watching an older horror movie, I'll probably put on The Invisible Man or The Wolf Man before I'll put on this one. Because it's kind of silly, and all the scenes that don't involve the vampire are kind of silly to watch. But you can't beat that vampire design. It's creepy.
It's true.
So your George Washington argument definitely made me start thinking that direction. What is your argument, Eric?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably in the same. I'm probably in the same boat as Jackson here. I think it's probably, as much as I want Night of the Living Dead to be on there, I think it's probably Nosferatu is probably the most universal choice as to what goes on there. It's probably the most iconic of the ones left over that we have in here. We can make an argument for, you can make the argument that it's not very scary anymore, but I would say it's probably the best choice of the ones. Yeah. So I would say Nosferatu.
Yeah. This movie, just like I said, was all the cinematic language before, the shadows, and then the door is smaller than the vampire, so you got this distortion kind of thing. Eric, what is your argument for Jaws?
It's not. It's half a horror movie.
Okay.
So I would say that would probably, it's got a great horror first act and then a great adventure second act, but I would say that it's a wonderful scary movie when it needs to be, but I would say that it probably doesn't stack up to, I don't know. I mean, these are picking apples and oranges in some places.
Right.
It's just they're both apples. We're just making
Nosferatu to Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no similarities between them at all.
Right.
What is your argument, Jackson?
It's same as Eric. It's got horror sequences, but and while I would still call it a horror movie in a broad sense, it's not as much of a horror movie. This is probably, thinking back, I should have eliminated this one from the get-go instead of Psycho, but I was feeling a little frisky. Thought I would piss off Drew.
I mean, both were cultural phenomenons at the time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But I would make an argument that Jaws is more of a cultural phenomenon now than Psycho.
Yeah.
I don't know if many younger kids wanted to watch Psycho.
It's true. It's black and white movie. Most kids don't want to watch black and white movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do kids even watch movies from the 70s anymore? I don't know. Probably not.
More likely,
there's definitely some nerdy kids that do.
Yeah. Or at least they probably know Jaws more than Psycho, honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, all you have to do is go, duh. Everybody knows what that means.
Yeah, and they probably they're old enough. They've probably been on like the ride at Universal Studios.
Yeah, that's not been there for a long time though.
Yeah. What is your argument for Night of the Living Dead, Jackson?
I mean, it's undeniable. Again, this is one that like I like it. It's not my favorite, but it established an entire genre of movies that has become very important. I mean, all the way up to like The Walking Dead being on TV for 1 billion years. But so, yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, any horror Mount Rushmore should really have like 8 heads on it.
Yeah.
Instead of just 4.
Limiting it to 4 feels hard.
It feels wrong.
Unnecessary. Yeah.
Drew's gonna get so many angry comments about this episode.
What about you, Jackson? Eric, what is your argument for Night of the Living Dead?
Along with what Jackson was saying, it's not my favorite of those. I think Dawn is a much better movie all around. But I mean, as far as like what it set up and everything, I mean, I guess if I were to rank these, I would probably do Nosferatu and then Blair Witch, Night of the Living Dead around the same time, and then Jaws underneath that, as far as like horror movies go. But that's just my rank. I don't
know. Yeah, this movie is culturally significant. Set up the modern day vampire. I feel like we just don't need to bother with Blair Witch, but we'll still do it just to be fair. And I think this argument is really going to come down to Nosferatu and Night of the Living Dead. These are like compared to Jaws and Blair Witch, these are like behemoths in like influence of horror. But I would say I do like Night of the Living Dead more than Dawn of the Dead. It's more spooky to me. It gives me more of a Halloween kind of feel.
That's fair. I will say the DIY aspect of it is very there. It feels more gritty and real, sort of like Texas Chainsaw does. Or it was shot by guys who made like advertisements, and they were like, "We're gonna go make a movie one weekend over several weekends." But you know.
What is your argument for Blair Witch Project, Jackson?
Well, mostly it comes down to, you know, since we had this 20-year rule in place. I was trying to think of what's the best example of like something that ushered in like the modern era of horror. And it basically came down to that or Scream. But I was like, I don't want to pick another slasher. So I went with something, and it gets to the same things that like some of those movies, like The Haunting. I like I said, I'm still not even sure if I've seen The Haunting, but I've seen enough clips at least. I'd have to look in my letterbox to see if I'd actually seen the whole movie. But it's that implied, like, psychological element of horror where you don't see what's happening, but you know something is happening. Plus, when you get into the whole thing about viral marketing and how important that's become, you know, it's a pretty undeniable touch point in the genre.
Wait, what about you, Eric? What is your argument?
I mean, along with what Jackson's saying, kicked off basically an entire genre of a new genre altogether. They'd done it before, like Cannibal Holocaust has technically done the fake documentary, but like nobody likes Cannibal Holocaust. Nobody sits down and wants to enjoy Cannibal Holocaust. Blair Witch basically started a whole new genre that's still going today. So it would be the continuation of that something new in the genre that hasn't been done before. So maybe I don't know. Maybe
you're kind of talking me out of Nosferatu, which feels really blasphemous.
It is, and it's what are on the list right now? We got
Exorcist, The Thing, and
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which those are all from like
the 70s,
like
80s,
decade 70s, 80s. Oh God!
You know what? Done talked
Painted
myself out of
ourselves
it.
into a corner.
I think I may have talked myself out of it. I think I may pick Blair Witch.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to decide this.
Yeah, you didn't really have a plan, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh no.
I'm like the Joker.
Okay, so what we could do now is basically there's 3 of us, there's 4 left. We could all kick one off, and then whatever's left is what's left.
Okay, hold on. I actually did kick off
Sounds fair.
Jaws in Blair Witch Project, so let me add those back on the list.
Okay. And then whatever's at the top, so what's at the top?
Yeah, because there's 4, and then whatever's left will be
will be the one at the top. Oh boy, this is fun.
Yeah.
The final round of elimination.
Okay. It's like Survivor.
Okay.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
You go first.
Yeah.
Actually, let me
Pick one off.
You know what? Let me make this a little bit
Be
interesting.
spiteful.
Let me make this a little bit interesting. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 50. 50.
Well, you can't pick it because then it won't be. You won't be able to go into.
No,
it.
then about who's going to go first. So whoever gets the highest number between 1 and 50 that I'm thinking of.
But you know what the number is.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Okay, never mind. Fuck it. I don't know, I'm tired.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all raw footage.
You can play paper, rock, scissors.
We could.
That's not going to be very interesting.
Eric, I'll let you get Eric go. Eric go. What's going
on? So it's Nosferatu, Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, Blair Witch. I'm gonna take the easy route. I'm gonna kick Jaws off.
Okay.
Well, who goes next?
Jackson.
Okay. So it's Jaws, Night of the Living Dead, and Blair. Or no, he kicked off Jaws. So Nosferatu, Night of the Living Dead, and Blair. I'm going to kick off Night of the Living Dead.
Son of a bitch! You know what? I'm picking one of yours off. Blair Witch Project. So that means it's
okay, fine.
Okay.
Guess what? I also picked Nosferatu.
No, I don't get Psycho. You don't get fucking.
2 of us picked it, but yeah.
So what did we end up with in all? What are our 4?
Yeah. So The Thing, The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Nosferatu.
That's such a weird.
That's a strange.
I mean, it covers multiple genres.
Yeah, you got body horror with The Thing.
Yeah,
Demon Possession in the all-time greatest horror movie of all time was Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yet one of the OG slashers was Texas Chainsaw, and then you got like what you said, the George Washington, the gothic horror movie, pretty much. I mean, some argue like Caligari, but really to me, it's Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, I think,
gaps, but. Yeah,
there's huge gaps.
Yeah,
we jumped straight from the 20s to the 70s,
70s,
and then we stopped at the early 80s.
I mean, to be fair,
you were just like, nah, get out of here.
Wouldn't have a lot of these movies without like the classics, like Nosferatu and Frankenstein and Dracula and all that stuff. It just builds upon each other. But I think it's an interesting list. I did not expect The Thing to be on here, honestly.
That was the swerve.
Yeah, that
now
was
we pick one to take off.
Okay. Leave all your angry comments below.
Sorry,
I declare a mulligan. Thing goes off, Psycho goes in.
If that's the case, and then we all get mulligans, and I take Psycho back off and put Blair Witch in there.
No, it's what it is. It's The Thing, Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, Nosferatu. Bitches.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. I hope you enjoy these movies.
I think the only one.
Okay. Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were allowed to pick one from the last 20 years, which one would you pick?
Get Out.
Okay. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I feel like within the last decade, I think that's like the one. That's like The Exorcist as far as like impact. I think as far as like scariest is Hereditary.
Yeah.
I
I
think
might pick. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think the decade before that, as far as impact, I don't know, but maybe scary. I don't know. Probably The Ring.
Yeah.
Because everybody was talking about The Ring at
Right.
that point.
What would you pick, Eric?
I would probably pick The Babadook.
Ooh.
See, that was my first instinct.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about this whole like elevated horror, which to a horror fan doesn't mean anything, because to us horror is an elevated genre already. But yeah, that was my first instinct. But you know what I would pick? I would pick Saw.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I mean, for one thing, it's one of the highest grossing horror franchises of all time.
Yeah.
Like it's up there with like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween movies. I mean, it's been going. They just released a new one.
The 10th one. Yeah.
I say next year we do the same thing, but for like the last couple of decades. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll pick 4 and we'll do it the same process. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Because the last 2 decades of horror, particularly the last decade, really strong.
It would have to be. Well, did we do it for the 2020s as well? I feel like we said, because there were some good ones.
I'd say anything released from, well, at that point 2024 up through the present. This is for next year.
Yeah.
That's all on the table.
Yeah, from 2004 to 2024.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just make it an even number. Let's make it 2000. Let's just start 2000s on. Then you've got like 24 years of content to pull from.
The newest one we did.
Scream 3. Okay.
Oh, damn it.
I would put, in honesty, Scream 4 up there. I really love Scream 4.
Scream 4 is my favorite Scream movie, and that's my favorite franchise in general.
Well,
I think
is my
Scream
favorite.
4 I think 5 is really good.
Yeah.
I love 4, 5, and 6. But 4 is my favorite. I just love how weird and inventive it is.
Yep. Yeah. Twisty and fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, before we wrap this up, any Halloween plans this year?
I'll probably be at work.
Oh yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna hand out candy if kids come around, I guess. Dressed as a giant hamburger.
And then Maggie's gonna be Bob from Bob's Burgers.
She could be, or she could be. Go ahead.
I was thinking you should be Mayor McCheese.
Ooh.
And she could be the Hamburglar.
That'd be great.
Dude, I'm telling you, Eric, that one year that we need to go to a Halloween party dressed up as Jay and Silent Bob.
Who would be Jay and who would be Silent Bob?
Dude, I would be Jay.
I think it's pretty clear who would be Jay and who would be Silent Bob.
Ew.
I mean, yeah, Drew, you would be Jay.
Yeah.
I have long hair. It makes sense.
But he's got, well, they both have long hair, but you have long dark hair and a beard.
Yeah. It's fair. I used to smoke. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, you make certain facial expressions that are very similar to Kevin Smith at that character.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, but will it be like regular Jay and Silent Bob or like Blunt Man and Chronic Jay and Silent Bob?
See, that would be better.
No, I'd be regular Jay, and then Eric can be Blunt Man. Like you have the Blunt Man hat.
I think what we do is we show up.
Which one is
Jay
Blunt Man and
Bob.
which one is Chronic?
Blunt Man is Bob.
Is he?
Yeah, because he's supposed to be Batman. He has like the hat, the backwards hat.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. It's been forever since I've watched those.
I think what we do is we show up as Jay and Silent Bob. Midway through the party, someone shows up as like Mark Hamill, the villain from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. We transform into Blunt Man and Chronic. The whole multi-layer onion thing. It'll be great.
That'd be funny. Oh, then Mark Hamill's in House of Usher too, which is awesome.
Is he?
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that definitely makes me want to watch it now.
Yeah. Well, I like how in the last Jane Silent Bob, when they're going to Chronicon, which is the Comic Con devoted to Blunt Man and Chronic. There's still a trailer for the Blunt Man and Chronic movie, a reboot. And it's Val Kilmer as Blunt Man, and then the chick that played Supergirl as Chronic, and then it's Tommy.
Oh my god!
As Alfred.
Okay,
This is pretty
I'd
funny.
watch that.
And he just says "man" the whole time. He's like, "Yeah, man, movie man." It's pretty funny. So anyways, guys, this has been a long ass episode.
Yeah.
And
2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
If you like this episode and you want to be more spooky and more neater content, make sure you slash that subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Horror, Sci-Fi and Beyond. And also don't forget to leave this video or this episode killer comment and give this episode a King Kong sized thumbs up. This has been Drew from Horror, Sci-Fi and Beyond, and stay tuned next week for our big Halloween special review that I will be reviewing next week. Bye.